For those of you who don't know me, I'm Alex Haig.
Best friend of the groom.
Brother of the groom.
I've known Alex for over 30 years.
Well, I've known Alex for my entire life. And other than doctors and his parents, I have the privilege of being the first person to see Alex naked. And let me tell you, what a sight that was. Before we get started on this munchkin roast, best man speech, I'd like to commend the maid of honor, Claire, who, unlike John, had the courage to get up here all by herself and delivered an amazing speech. Nick Black, you gave an incredible, rousing speech last night. You truly did. And I'd like to not thank you for that. I do, however, think a few thank yous are in order for all the incredible people who helped make this amazing day possible. First and foremost, we'd like to thank the entire Voorhees family, particularly Ann's parents, Bill and Ginny. We really could not have asked for a better venue, so thank you very much.
Let's also thank the Haig family, Wendy and Alex Haig, for putting on an amazing rehearsal dinner last night. Not surprisingly, the theme was sugar and candy. It's very nicely. Let's also thank all the servicemen and servicewomen who are in the crowd here tonight. I know there's probably a dozen or two. Your sacrifices and your family sacrifices allowing us to have this time today. My name is John Fiore, in case you didn't hear while Chris was over talking me. I've known Alex for over 30 years, since President Reagan's second inauguration. Yes, Alex has two other brothers, William and Peter. The reason I'm up here proves that there's something much more thicker than blood. Average, table 14. Alex is an athlete, as everyone knows, but it took him a little while to develop those athletic skills. In our very first soccer game, which we won 3-0, guess who scored all 3 goals?
John Fiore, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Alex spent most of that game standing on the sideline, tugging at his ear and daydreaming. It was at that moment that I realized I need to hitch my wagons to the Alex Haig train. With that kind of social awkwardness, I would grow up and always be the most popular, socially funny, and outgoing person in class. Alex, thank you so much for giving me that confidence. Most people are born with certain characteristics. It's easily described by a single word: smart, intelligent, funny, charismatic. But this speech is about Alex, not me and Chris. Alex does not fit into one type of adjective, an easy thing. The only way to describe Alex is, well, that's Alex. Alexisms, if you will. He's a physical specimen. He has competed successfully in multiple Ironman competitions, an airborne ranger, varsity captain on most sports that he played in. Despite his devotion to physical fitness and activity, he has the diet of a morbidly obese diabetic. His favorite fruit is cotton candy. His favorite 5-course meal is the Lunchables with the dessert. Alex can drink like a man, but he orders steak like a child. Butterfly and super well done. Spend 30 minutes driving behind Alex, and you will be confused. More confused than Alex was when we watched Matrix 3, and he hadn't seen Matrix 1 or 2. Give Alex a soccer ball, a football, lacrosse stick. He'll be the star of the team and most likely the captain. Give him a basketball or golf clubs. Just don't do it. Mr. Voorhees, keep him off that course. Alex will not drink water unless it's infused with colors and flavors and all the things that make little girls sweet. His water glass has not been touched tonight, Alex. Here, infuse your water, please. Alex hates all science fiction movies and the people who watch them. Like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. But he watched Legally Blonde 2 by himself in the movie theater.
I didn't realize that.
Alex hates strangers in most public places, but he often finds himself in pull-up contests with strangers in public places.
And he's never lost. While Alex may have a lot of very unique Alex qualities, he has two traits in particular that stand out to me the most. Two traits that I believe have enabled Alex to be far greater than the sum of his parts. Number one, moral compass. And number two, mental fortitude. Alex's moral compass is dialed in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is a guy who once found a $20 bill on a trail in the forest and didn't think it would be right to take it because it wasn't his and he hadn't earned it. His moral compass guides him what to do and where to go, and then his mental fortitude kicks in and gets him there. One direction Alex's moral compass is constantly pushing him towards is to be better and to be more. It leads him towards doing things like the Ironman competition, which for those of you who don't know, consists of a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile bike ride, and then running a 26.2 mile marathon. I literally can't comprehend why anyone on earth would want to put themselves through that for their own personal challenge. But Alex loves challenging his limits, always striving to better himself. At his second Ironman competition, during the bike portion of the race, Alex flipped off his bike, injuring his leg and damaging the bike in the process, giving it the feel of being permanently stuck in a high gear. Completely undaunted, with no quit in him, Alex continued on, fighting through the pain and the torrential rainfall that ensued, and completed the Ironman despite the odds.
Chris, you're spot on. Mental fortitude is never giving up, never quitting, even if the odds are truly against you. It's how Alex made it through Ranger School. In the dead of winter, on his last ounce of mental strength. I found a letter this morning from Mr. Haig. During that time, he was past the point of exhaustion, questioning his decision and why he was doing Ranger School. To quote, minus the curse words, "But now I've mentally crossed the point of no return. I'm getting this effing tab, period. So I drive on out of sheer stubbornness or stupidity." Stupidity can be very closely linked to mental fortitude, Alex. One night, after a night at the bars, we got outside our friend's house, left the cab. Almost immediately, Alex realized that he had left his wallet in the cab. Now, this is pre-Uber, where if you left your wallet in the cab, it was gone. So what did a non-quitter like Alex do? Naturally, he ran after that cab. He sprinted full speed, and just when he thought the cab was going to get out of reach, Alex dove towards the cab like Superman. Alex landed about 75 yards from the cab and came up with cuts all over his hands and wrists. He never got that wallet back. He did at least prove to himself and to all of us that, no, he cannot fly. At my wedding, Alex wore Superman socks. So maybe he still hasn't given up hope. An old Irish proverb states, you've got to do your own growing, no matter how tall your grandfather was. From the beginning of his life, Alex was given a great advantage, the name Alex Haig. Sure, Chris and the twins were given other advantages, like good looks, height, charisma, intelligence, hair, social acumen, but they didn't get the name. Alex had every opportunity to skate through life using that name to his financial and political gain. But his path has always been forged by something much stronger. And that was a devotion to hard work, his family, his country, and now Anne. Through difficult colleges, law school, and volunteering to serve in the infantry at the height of the War on Terror, Alex has made difficult decisions and accomplished every goal. After 2 tours in Afghanistan and a Bronze Star for valor in combat, well-deserved, and the brains to marry Anne, I can tell you grandfather is pride and smiling big tonight. After all, you don't just earn a windowless office in the basement of the FBI.
Growing up, Alex and I used to share bunk beds. He always slept on the top bunk and I was on the bottom. One night, when Alex was 5 years old, which is also about the time when I stopped looking up to him literally and started looking up to him figuratively, he rolled out of bed and hit his head on the floor, cutting the back of it wide open. On the way to the hospital, Alex's first question to my parents was, am I gonna have to get stitches? My parents knew he would and could sense his fear, so they explained to him that he would only need to be brave for a few seconds while the doctor gave him a shot near his cut. And then he wouldn't feel any more pain, it would all be over. Alex spent the rest of the car ride mentally preparing himself. When they arrived at the hospital, the doctor alerted my parents that because Alex was so young, they would need to put him in a straitjacket to keep him from interfering. Alex looked up at my parents and said, please don't let them put that on me. I promise I won't move or cry. After some haggling, the doctor conceded to attempt the procedure without the straitjacket, but cautioned that if Alex moved at all, the harness would be placed on him. When the doctor brought out the needle, Alex looked at my parents and asked, is that the needle they're going to use? I promise not to cry. When the procedure began, true to his word, he didn't move a muscle. And though he had tears streaming down his face, he didn't let out a single whimper. When it was all over, he looked up at my parents and said, see, I told you I could do it. As a reward for his bravery, my parents took him directly to Toys R Us, bloody pajamas and all. And they told him that he could pick pick out anything in the entire store, which is pretty much a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a little kid. Alex took it very, very seriously, walking up and down every single aisle, before finally settling on a figure of the Lone Ranger riding his horse. Probably cost about $5. As they walked to the cash register, my parents asked, "Are you sure this is all you want?" Alex looked up and said, "No, wait." And he ran back to the Lone Ranger's aisle and grabbed his partner in crime, Tonto. He handed the Tonto figure to my parents and said, "This is for Chris." At only 5 years old, Alex was already a man or little boy of his word. He was already displaying his courage and mental fortitude. And while Alex often displays a certain, shall we say, aloofness, he always seems to remember to grab a Tonto for the people he cares about, even if it takes him getting to the cash register before he remembers.
What you can't tell just by looking at Alex and Ann is that they share a love of music and dancing. They have gone to dozens and dozens of concerts together. At one point, there was a proposal in the works for a concert. I pulled Alex aside and said, "Don't you ever dare do that." I've seen and been with them on the dance floor, at weddings, and at bars, and when bars are already closed and we're still dancing. And while it may not always be pretty, like when Alex split his pants down the rear, and we stayed there dancing, it's always been a blast. And that's what's important. That's what really matters, having fun, not caring about anyone else around you, but just being in the moment with you two. The smiles on both of their faces this entire weekend proves that point, that how happy they truly are. I'm excited to see what they're going to do on this floor later tonight. What you can tell about Alex and Ann just from looking at them is their shared hatred of the sun. But it wasn't until I saw a picture of Ann as a toddler that I finally realized the true connection that binds them. The gingerness. As a youngster, Ann's hair was so red, and yet she was so confident. Doctors thought they had found the long-feared, rarely mentioned, and never before seen dominant ginger gene. Fortunately, Ann grew up to be a beautiful blonde. But it wasn't always a sure thing between these two. Ann had competition from other suitors almost immediately upon meeting Alex. I can't imagine how Alex could possibly put out a non-date vibe on a date. But it has happened. On their very first date at a luxury restaurant in Washington, D.C., when the check came, the server's phone number was on the tab for Alex to get in touch. Shocking. Their server's name was Jeff. So congratulations, Ann, for beating Jeff and all the other unlucky men and women out there. And just don't hold it against him the next time you're out on a date and a server leaves their number. Sometimes he just cannot help the heat that comes off that ginger vibe of his.
Alex, you're an older brother that always went first and is led by example, even if that meant risking life and limb. I'm talking about you riding a sled face first into a slide and knocking out all your front teeth. Just so that I knew, hey, don't do that. I'm also talking about you joining the military, you becoming an Army Ranger, becoming an infantry officer, and leading by example from the front lines. I'm talking about your work ethic, you settling for nothing less than being the captain of pretty much every sports team you've ever been on. You went to law school, you've run marathons, the list is endless. All of these things are not just impressive because they are feats you've accomplished. They're impressive because they are all accomplishments that at least one of your younger brothers has also made. Our whole lives, you have forged paths that we have followed. You have paved the way, showing us what was possible. Your consistent ability to overachieve has forced us to constantly reevaluate what we ourselves are capable of doing. By always striving to better yourself, you make us and everyone around you better. So it should come as no surprise when we, some sooner than later, all follow you on your next most exciting and fulfilling and possibly scariest endeavor of marriage, which you've taken today. I think when you look back on this day, you've made the best decision that you will have ever made in your entire life. May we all be as lucky and fortunate to follow suit in finding a woman as gracious, kind, and beautiful as Anne. It is just yet another example of you overachieving in a way that leaves us all baffled. But it is also another example that one day I hope to follow you in. And with great joy, I welcome you with open arms to the Haig family.
I want to hear this band play. Everyone, please raise your glasses with me, if you will. Here's to Alex and Anne. To more sunshine than rain, more laughter than tears, I look forward to sharing our next 30 years. To the lollipop kid and the tall blonde nurse, if you ever lose your ticket, she'll sneak you in her purse. Here's to the husband, and here's to the wife. May yourselves be lovers for the rest of your life. God bless.